Good evening and welcome to Thursday night's the Radical Race Series Round 7 live from Mount Panorama in Australia. I am James Parfitt and I'm joined in the booth once again by Ewan O'Leary. We are here in New South Wales in Australia, opened in 1938. Current track length 6.213 kilometres, 3.861 miles, 23 turns here. Currently holds the Supercars, the Intercontinental GT Challenge, the Bathurst Motor Festival and the GT World Challenge Australia, as well as the Cross Country Championships, believe it or not. So there we go, and we are here for the Radical Race Series for a sprint and feature, the 7-lap sprint, the 11-lap feature race, and we are in for some epic racing. The mountain section here, up through the skyline, through the Dipper and down through Forest Elbow, is the area that's going to cause the most amount of problems for these drivers to be able to get that through accurately, time after time after time after time. It takes practice, practice, practice. And we've got 18 cars on track this evening battling it out, but it's time to bring in Mr. Ewan O'Leary. Good evening, Ewan. How are you, sir?
Good evening, doing well once again. Looking forward to more Radical Race Series here this evening because it is fantastic. Very much enjoying it. Back to the sprint and feature format that, of course, we saw make a return at Barcelona last week, and it was really quite chaotic during the reverse grid race. Anyway, the feature race saw its fair share of drama. Championship leader Simon Edwards definitely took a hit in terms of the points. John McCutcheon now only 19 points behind him, so if it's chaotic and difficult in the reverse grid around a circuit like that, a proper big Grand Prix circuit, then goodness only knows what it's going to be like here.
Yeah, there are the championship standings on your screen right now. Simon Edwards is leading the way on 282 points, with John McCutcheon in second on 263. Dan Webster in third for 246. Luke Maxwell on 210 in fourth. Paul Clark in fifth on 180. Mike Bousson in sixth for 173. Paul LeMay on 160. He's up 3 from last week. Stunning job by Paul LeMay. James Child in 8th on 152, tied with David Rolliston. Darrell Taylor on 148 as well, goes up 2 spaces above Martina Ward and Robert Woodward. Damien G up 3, Phil Glover up 3, but Seth Brown up 5 on 109 points. Jamie Bird in down 3 on 108, Colin Wynn on 104, David Ward on 89, and then beyond that we have got Graham Brown on 87, he's up 4 currently as well. George Gonzaga down 2 on 81, tied with David Beasley. Paul Crabb up 2 on 78, Andrew Derrick down 4 on 77, Graham Brown down 3 on 66, Sergio La Cruz on 37, Phil Jocelyn on 32, Austin Gretorix on 28, and no Ben Underdown currently as of yet. 19 points, Ewan, between the two. We're still waiting for the drop weeks to be put onto the website. Now, they are officially on the UI of iRacing. Now, that brings a complete different perspective and a different picture to the championship overall. You know, it's really just waiting for them to be added, isn't it? Because according to the UI, there's only 5 points between John McCutcheon on 161 and Simon Edwards on 166.
Yeah, I can totally believe that because of the way the drop weeks work. What I keep promising to do this every week, but I need to make my own spread. Well, I've still got the spreadsheet from last season, so I just use that to just work out quite who is where, because it is difficult to know quite at this stage. You know, we've got possibly 3 or 4 championship contenders at the moment. I think we can still count Dan Webster and Luke Maxwell as involved in this, albeit at a distance for the moment. So if we count in drop weeks for them, then where does that leave them? Hard to know, especially for Maxwell, who missed a round, and that's going to be one of his drop weeks, of course. But with the 3 drop rounds this season, we've spoken about it many times, it's likely to be the 3 endurance races, but of course we don't know that until the final race is complete, which is an endurance. I do slightly fear that that means that almost whatever the drivers do, their scores won't matter at the Nordschleife. I hope that's not the case, and I don't think it will be, but it could be. So we'll see what happens when we get there. But it's still definitely very close between Simon Edwards and John McCutcheon. I'm just hoping that McCutcheon can make it here tonight, because he's not on the starting grid right now.
Yeah, he's got a about 5 minutes. We see Seth Brown there just taking a little diversion off track, coming out the chase at turn 22 on that run down. So we'll have to see. Hopefully he will be able to tidy that one up as well. Don't forget, guys, there was Paul Clark just heading into the pits for us. Current sponsor of this evening's race there from iLoungeRacing.co.uk, so please go and check them out as well. All links down into the description below, and also HPE Automotive as well. Thank you so much for them. Two guys are sponsoring this evening's race. As I say, all links are down in the description. Don't forget the giveaway is still heading off over on Instagram, guys, as well. When JBB gets to 300 followers on Instagram, we will give away £50 worth of iRacing dollars. So get yourself involved as well. You've got to like, follow, and share the post to be in with a chance of winning the £50 worth of dollars. And we will just stick your names into a spinny wheel, press the button, and the winner will be announced live on a broadcast when we hit that milestone. So overall, it's been quite a busy week here on JBB, and it's still going to get busier. We've got the Americans from Radical Sim Racing going off tonight at 1:45 a.m. That will be with Rob Sluder and Dean Biggles. They will be bringing you all the action. And tomorrow night, we have abundance of racing. We've got AMS and Pros from Radical Sim Racing. They are doing the 30 minutes of Parfitt as well. Then we've got the SRL GT4 finale at Catalunya. That will be starting round about 10:15, and then after that we have got the IGL Cash Cup going off from Circuit Zolder at 1:45 in the morning. So get yourself in there. There's plenty of action for everyone, and you can watch it live on the JBB YouTube channel. I think there's a bit for everyone, because we've got GT3s, GT4s and Radical Racing tomorrow night, so get yourself involved in that one. But for now, we have got Bar First with a Radical SR10, and we are here with Seth Brown going through the area that is most likely to cause the problem, Ewan, I think, this evening.
Yeah, well, I think the whole mountain section really is most likely to cause the problem. The Dipper, of course, very difficult and quite narrow down there as well, but I wouldn't eliminate the first part of the mountain section as being, one where we might see a big tie-up from all the way from Quarry Bend all the way to Silman Park. It just widened out a little bit in McPhillamy, but and then down at Skyline. But when you get through the S's and the Dipper, it does start to narrow up again, and that all the way down to Forest Elbow, where that will end out. So yeah, it's the whole mountain section is going to be really difficult, and it's going to define this race. It's going to make it very difficult to overtake as well, which is going to be excruciating really for those that do well in the first race and end themselves in the middle of the field for the second race, because Hell Corner itself can produce its own kind of drama, and we'll just see how that start goes, because as I mentioned at the start, the start of the second race at Catalunya wasn't exactly a clean one. And that was at a big Grand Prix circuit, so this is going to be a very different story.
Well, there was no fewer than 7 people involved in the Catalunya incident on lap 1, I think, turn 7, if I'm not mistaken. Simon Edwards, David Beasley, David Ward, Phil Glover, James Child, Graham Brown and Paul LeMay. And if I remember correctly, it started with Graham Brown going off track, checking up, Paul LeMay behind him and Simon Edwards coming up behind that. Good evening, Craig Jones, welcome in, Phil across the pond and Colin Wynn. Hope you're getting on the road to recovery, Colin, because we've missed you and we haven't seen you for a while. Hopefully see you back on track shortly here as well. That would be awesome. We've gone from Catalunya, we're going to Bar First, and then next week we're in the Red Bull Ring. It could be more diverse on tracks, really, over this period, could it?
No, and then Alton Park after that, I would argue, is quite diverse as well from both of those. Really, there's a small British circuit with a lot of corners, although no chicanes on that one. I'm presuming the international layout does mean they'll be going to the hairpin right out the east side of the circuit, and they won't be using that cut through hairpin. But I don't know exactly. And then we've got the 2008 version of Silverstone as well, which is a bit of an older track now. That was 15 years ago, believe it or not. Yes, that's going to be a real different one, and then another small British circuit for Brands Hatch. So a real diverse calendar, and I have to say I've been a fan of these round so far. There's been some good circuits chosen. I mean, the Rudskogan race maybe was a bit of a letdown. That's the only one I can really think of that was, a little bit of a disappointment, because I really enjoyed the circuit, actually. I really liked the look of it, and it looked like fun to drive as well, but it just didn't produce the race that we really wanted on that particular occasion. But for the most part, the tracks have been excellent and really diverse as well.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just looking at the Autumn Park layout. It is the full international circuit. There's just no Britons, no Knickerbrook. So they do run all the way down to Shell Oils, round the hairpin, and then back up through 6 all the way down to Knickerbrook. So it is that long run from turn 5, full flat, all the way down to turn 7, and then up Clay Hill and then off to Druids before they go round to Lodge. So they've got no chicanes to deal with. Even coming around Cascades, they keep going round off to Island Bend. So it is the full layout. There is just literally no chicanes involved in it. So we are on to qualifying now, guys, as well, so stay tuned. The qualifying times will come up at the bottom. Hopefully next week, since Colin Wynn was close tonight, but back can't just take it yet, so that's a shame. Hopefully we'll see Colin Wynn back on track very, very shortly, because he's been aptly missed here this evening as we jump on board with Simon Edwards for this 10-minute qualifying at this very tricky Bathurst circuit. And if you could sit here, Ewan, and say, right, he's going to win, who would you pick?
Yeah, I think I would pick Simon Edwards, the man you're seeing on screen right now, purely because, because of the practice times, but when you're making a prediction, you are looking for someone that you trust to do a good job, and I certainly do trust Simon Edwards to do a good job at any circuit in this car, in this series, and so I will place my faith in him. Although he isn't going to be without challenges here today, so Luke Maxwell put in a good time in practice there. Paul Crabb was right up there inside the top 3 as well, so another couple of good options, and getting a good qualifying lap here is going to be important as well, but I will place my trust in Simon Edwards if I had to.
Okay, can there be a challenge for Edwards? Is that what we're saying, that Edwards is just looking too strong at the moment, and we think he can't be caught and almost sort of beaten? You know, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because he is so fast, you just can't see past him.
Yeah, he is very quick, and it's difficult to see past him sometimes, but I do think he is going to get challenged here today. As I mentioned, Luke Maxwell and Paul Crabb put in good times there in that practice session. I know we can't always read too much into practice times, but I do think that they did a very good job. So maybe he will be challenged, but I think a lot of it is going to come down to this qualifying session. You know, anybody on the first 2 rows has got a chance, really. If you've got the pace for the front 2 rows and then you're on there, then you'll be laughing as Simon Edwards hits the wall into Hell Corner.
That's his first lap as well. That was his first green lap. So he will have one more out lap, and then he will only have 1 lap to get a time in. That's good. Could give us a completely new dynamic at the front of the table on the starting grid, so that's going to be an interesting one. We've got Paul Clark whizzing around there for iLounge Racing, currently doing purple in Sector 2. Okay, so that wasn't the greatest start for your pick, Ewan, I've got to be honest. Goes and bins it in turn 1, so yeah, he's only going to have 1 out lap and 1 lap probably to get done here, I think.
He probably has the right to be a little bit annoyed about me for saying anything, really, because I may have contributed, to be honest. But yes, not a great start at all. And we speak all the time in these sessions about building your lap time up and working the tyres into it, and then your third and final lap is the one where you really want to be on fire. And unfortunately, Simon Edwards is not going to be able to do that. He's just going to have 1 lap time, really, to do this, so he may well be down because of that. But I think this circuit is such a difficult one that working the tyres in, and it's such a long circuit as well, that building the tyres up in the way that we normally talk about, I think is going to be less of a factor than normal, although it is going to be very hard for Simon Edwards to now get pole.
I think so as well. He's going to need that second lap really as well. I have stuck a poll up for the winner of the sprint race. I will leave it there for a couple of more minutes to get your votes in. Let us know who you think is going to win the sprint race, and then we'll do another one for the feature. Luke Maxwell, however, is set purples across the board. He's coming down into Murray's corner, looking for the pole on the right hand side before he starts braking. Down through the gears he goes, 3rd gear, gets the car hooked up and across the line. This is going to be pole position, but it depends on by how far. 155.798. Wow! Considering the nearest close time of Dan Webster was a 1:56.4. Unbelievable.
Well, McCutcheon goes a little bit closer, but even so, Maxwell has done a very good time there, and it's not really close between himself and the drivers behind. A very impressive opening lap from Luke Maxwell, but he's still got another couple to go, and has to have everyone else behind, so you never know what can happen in the final moments of this session. Good start, of course, but he's got to carry on with that now for the rest of the session, It could hardly have gone better, really, but still a long way to go. And of course, if he messes up too badly on his second lap, then could have damage because of this circuit. So, job's not done just yet.
Answer to your question. Oh, okay, you've answered it yourself. You see him. Yes, John McCutcheon is sitting currently in second place. Paul Crabb has got some purples across the board currently at the moment, but not as many as Mr. Luke Maxwell. Maxwell has got 3 out of the 4, with Crabb taking the one in the middle. They are near enough at the same point on the circuit. Cracking time that is, says Gary. I'm guessing that's Gary Truby. Welcome, thank you so much for joining us. Paul Crabb going yellow in sector 5. Maxwell going green, so Maxwell's going even quicker. We should be able to catch the end of Maxwell's lap and the end of Crabb's lap. As we can see, Paul Crabb going to be looking at coming across the line now to set his first time here this evening. How far up is he going to go? He's going to go into second. Maxwell's coming round Hell's Corner. He's purple out 3 out of 5. He's gone yellow in the last one. I think it's still going to be an improvement of a 1:55.679. So we did improve, not massively, but he has improved. And so is this man as well, as he's going across the line, John McCutcheon. Hutchison goes on the pole on a 1:55.5. John McCutcheon absolutely killing it. Simon Edwards 4th. We did say he would struggle, Ewan, to get his times on the board, and he goes across the line in 4th place currently. James Child, Sergio Cruz and Graham Brown are all out on track as well. Cracking time from John McCutcheon there, 1:55.5. Best overall. Stellar job.
Yeah. Doesn't need practice either, apparently. Just could go straight into this and straight on the pace. Fantastic lap time from him. Simon Edwards seemingly has got another lap, so we will have 2 flying laps here in this run as opposed to the normal 3. But even so, he'll be last of the main contenders to come over the line, and then we'll really know who is on pole. John McCutcheon won't be able to improve on this last lap time by the looks of things. He goes back to pit lane from the looks of that. And so that will be it for him. It's just a case of whether Luke Maxwell can improve by a couple of tenths of a second to get ahead of McCutcheon and start on pole for this race. But as I mentioned earlier on, you've got to first of all have the pace, but also start on the front 2 rows. And I think that the top 4, perhaps the top 3 rows at the minute, could very much have a shout at winning this race here, the sprint race, based on the qualifying order, because they're all very strong drivers and they've all positioned themselves quite well.
Absolutely, and I think one of the things that we're forgetting here is everybody who watches sim racing will know about Bathurst Mountain section. As soon as you come out of Griffins of turn 2, after that, you're not getting anything done until about turn 19 when you've come out of Forest. But you've got to look at the bigger picture. Maxwell goes on to pole on a 1:55.126. Swapping places backwards and forwards between him and John McCutcheon. Simon Edwards is going to get another time. He's green across the board. What is he going to do as he comes over the line? Goes into 3rd place, 1:55.7. Not going to lie, there's some very quick times coming on here as well. Buson, is he going to break into the 1:55s as well? 1:56.049. James Child is still out on track currently at the moment. We can't express how bad that mountain section is, can we really? Because one incident, one slip up, one spin, and that mountain section just becomes a car park. Because there's just no way through from anybody once they're recovering back from a spin being in that section, aren't they?
Yeah, it's very difficult to get around. And so let's hope that nobody comes unstuck there, because it could be a real problem for everybody if indeed they do. But it's a great section to drive. Thoroughly enjoy this circuit. And what makes, in my opinion, this is the best racetrack in the world, to be honest. And what makes it, and people often argue between this and the Nordschleife, as being the best race circuit. What sets this one apart for me is the fact that you can have racing on it around this circuit. At the Nordschleife, you've really got one opportunity on the Tuttinger, and even then, you're battling into the Tiergarten, which is a really fast section of corners, and not very, not very good for actually battling with other cars. This does have scope for actually battling down here in towards the chase, into the final corner, first turn, and second corner as well. You can battle around that portion of the circuit and then have the peril of the close walls and the excitement of the rises and falls over the mountain as well. It's absolutely fantastic, but it does mean that the track could get blocked at almost any moment, seemingly. And that could be a problem in the race, but hopefully not.
Yeah, well, here comes the grid for the sprint race. Luke Maxwell is in pole position. John McHutchison second, Simon Edwards third, Paul Crabb fourth, Paul LeMay fifth, Mike Bousson sixth, Dan Webster seventh, Paul Clark eighth, James Child ninth, Jamie Bird in 10th, Graham Brown 11th, and Robert Woodward down in 12th place. Beyond that, Sergio Cruz in 13th, Darrell Taylor 14th, Seth Brown 15th, Phil Glover 16th, Damien G 17th, Phil Jocelyn 18th, and David Rolliston 19th place overall. Well, how are they going to play this first lap? Are they going to want to survive and not push for the places? Or are they going to be wanting to go for it straight from the beginning?
I think it's a good idea to try and survive the first lap and then see where you are and go from there, but I don't know if these drivers will. Generally, we do see sensible starts really in this series. We've spoken many times about the kind of good nature of this league in terms of the fact that drivers are very respectful of each other, not only on the track but off it as well. And that's a great thing. So hopefully that will be shown in the opening lap here. And we can have a clean one, because I think that's what is really required from an opening lap here. Especially given the drivers who are realistically going to win this race, they're up towards the front anyway. No need to make any stupid dive bombs on the opening lap at all. So just take things calm on the opening lap, and then see where you're at and go from there, because it's a lot easier to pick people off one by one really than it is all in one go.
All right, here we go. The lights are coming on. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and we're away. That was a very quick changeover. And it's Luke Maxwell, John McHutchison, Simon Edwards, Paul Crabb further back with Paul LeMay. John McHutchison's gone a little bit wide. It's going to put him out. Simon Edwards up into second place. Not the greatest start from John McHutchison there as he drops down. Paul Crabb running him side by side up into turn one. We said they weren't going to go for places. Well, that didn't quite work out, did it? As we got Paul LeMay, Mike Bousson, Dan Webster, Paul Clark, all battling away in that mid-pack. But it is Luke Maxwell. Big lock-up there as well. Oh, Darrell Taylor, Sergio Cruz. There is Darrell Taylor at turn one. That wasn't ideal, but not a bad start from Luke Maxwell so far.
Yeah, not good news for some further down. Luke Maxwell got away well, and I thought that the top 3 or 4 were going to stay single file through turn one, but McHutchinson went for broke there, really. Went around the outside and has ended up paying for 2 positions there. And has dropped back a little bit further, but Luke Maxwell just looks almost unstoppable right now. He's almost pulled out a second on this opening lap. He's flying over the mountain here for the first time of asking, and it's a fantastic performance so far. Just shows what a pole position can do around this circuit. I thought it would stay even a little bit closer than this, but Maxwell looks pretty untouchable.
He does at the moment, 1.24 seconds out already. He's flown through the mountain. He's got onto the Conrod straight and he's already gone. He's out of that draft range already. Paul Crabb is battling away with Simon Edwards here. We're expecting the draft to be quite strong as they're coming down now. Simon all over the track. Here we go. Crabb's got to be looking to take it inside. He's not. He's backed out. And now come down into the chase, currently in 3rd place. John McHutchison in 4th. Simon Edwards does not look comfortable right about now, Ewan. He looks like he's struggling a little bit with the car.
Yeah, he doesn't look comfortable at all right now, and Paul Crabb's only making that worse. Looking at the inside, maybe into the final corner. I think Edwards is trying to balance holding on to this position with also keeping the pace high at the moment, because you can see the train behind right now. It can extend way down the field, and it's not good news at all for anybody. Maxwell's absolutely gone. A fantastic opening lap from him, and he's nearly 2 seconds away already. But Paul Crabb applying an awful lot of pressure to Simon Edwards right now. Does he have the straight line speed for this into turn 2? He might well do here, and Edwards is forced to think about defending again.
Crabb's trying to look around. I thought he was going to look around the outside line. I know they're losing time, but Paul is putting Simon Edwards under all sorts of pressure. Edwards not looking too comfortable here as well. He's not looking happy at the moment. We have to see whether or not he can settle that down and start moving up here on lap 2 of 7 remaining. He's opened a little bit more comfortable gap of 4 tenths. No, it's not a massive gap, but a gap is a gap when you've got the likes of the Paul Crab tucked up right behind you. But it's going to be coming down into this mountain section we go. We're on the brakes, down through the gears, trying to get it under control. 3rd gear, 2nd drop down, off onto the gas we go. 3rd again, coming round now, down into Forest Elbow. We'll be slight lifting off, getting it onto the brakes, getting it down into 2nd gear, and then onto the accelerator we go. But this is his opportunity, Ewan here. He's only 2 tenths back at the moment.
Yeah, and he's going to have a big slipstream as well down Comrade Straight to maybe make use of it. Simon Edwards looks pretty good over the top of the mountain though. He does pull quite a few car lengths, but Paul Crab can really gain back at the stop-starting stuff and on the straights as well. He's looking very quick up the inside and towards the chase, although I don't think he really wants to go through there. It's a very high-speed corner and it's a dangerous one as well. Didn't want to go for that, and now you can see that they all catch up. So it's down the bottom end of the circuit where Edwards is not as strong. Over the top of the mountain he's absolutely fine. Oh, as he defends, he goes one way and pulls back in front of the other, and Paul Crab might well not be very pleased about that.
No, there was definitely a manoeuvre there within that manoeuvre that didn't go down too well. We're going to have a look back very, very quickly because they are battling away again, but this is what happened here as well. You can see Crab in the yellow from Team Radline. He goes to the right-hand side of Simon Edwards, and Edwards... Ooh.
Well, cheeky one.
Yeah, definitely is on that one. We will leave that at the hands of the stewards. But now it's Simon Edwards under pressure again from the looming Scotsman of John McHutchinson up through this mountain section. We've got Luke Maxwell, he is still on track. He's about 2.9 seconds ahead at the moment. We've got a 1.3 gap to Paul LeMay. Paul Crab has got to be kicking himself, Ewan, after that one.
Yeah, I think so, and I think he has a little bit of a right to be disappointed as well, because it looked like Simon Edwards was going to go on the defensive into the final turn there, and then he faded back to the racing line as well in the same braking zone. So although I do think Crab was braking a little bit late anyway for the corner, even so, you're not really allowed to do that. No. Yeah, Edwards may fall into a little bit of trouble with it, but maybe not also. It was fairly minor as well, so let's see what happens as a result of that. But he was under a little bit of pressure there from John McHutchinson, not really anymore, as we see a second gap opening between them. Edwards just so strong over the top of the mountain, not so strong down the straight, as maybe a similar situation for LeMay here.
Yeah, Bousson on the left-hand side, Paul LeMay on the right for Two Brothers Racing. This is going to be Mike Bousson going through here as well. One of the things at the same time, Dan Webster just took both of them. Oh, what a cheeky move. Crab's coming in again. He's coming in hotter than a poker on a fire at the moment. It's Paul Crab back through the order on 7, but I want to have a look. Dan Webster's pass on both of them coming out of the chase. What a stellar manoeuvre from him.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. The two of them were just braking so late into this to try and gain the position of one another. There was a bit of contact as well that helped. Bousson was very late on the brakes. LeMay might be a little bit disappointed because of the contact and because of how he was slowed up. And it also looked like we saw Jamie Bird go through on both of them, although he's under pressure from Mike Bousson now. He's been forced to the outside line at turn 2, which traditionally means that you're almost guaranteed to lose the place, but clearly that's not the case on this occasion, and he will stay in front of Bousson just there. But yeah, that was very cheeky, a very good move as well as Crab goes through on Bousson.
Yeah, Bousson running hot into the cutting, and Paul Crab got a better exit. Crab now back up into 6th place after that incident earlier on with Simon Edwards here, but it is the Irishman trying to come back through the field. It's got Jamie Bird from Racing 86 next in front of him. There are gaps up front, you can see it. Oh no! Oh! Bird was in that.
Crab as well.
Yeah, Bird and Crab.
Thankfully,
still sat there.
Yeah, thankfully it hasn't blocked the track, because you can see where Crab has ended up off the racing line through the dipper there. He is now able to get going. But what a disappointment that is for Paul Crabb, who was having a really good race. And now, surely there's no way he can even get back to the top 10 to salvage his day either.
No, definitely not on that one. Unfortunately for Paul Crabb, it's going to be up. Hard day for Paul Crabb. He was doing so well and then was involved in the incident with him and Edwards. And, well, I don't know about that incident. I don't know if Edwards... It was a definite late move, right? We're not going to deny that one, are we? It was a definite late move. And should it have been made in the first place, though, Ewan?
You mean Simon Edwards' move?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I think his movement under braking was maybe a little bit too much, but I don't know. It's a fairly minor thing, and then Paul Crabb did have time to obviously respond from that as well during the race. So I don't know whether we can draw our eyes too much to that, but certainly that most recent incident just a bit unlucky on all parts really. I'm amazed Bousson has got out of it so well though. Still 6th place, and he doesn't really look damaged either, which is remarkable really.
And that's the thing with these cars, isn't it? 1 minute you can tap a barrier and you've got front end, your steering's all over the place, and you can do it at about 30 miles an hour. And then next thing you know, you go into an incident like that where you're dropping down on top of poor old Jamie Bird, and you get away scot-free, which kind of looks what Bousson's got at the moment. I don't think there's any issues there with the steering. The car's still going where he's pointing it. He's still plunging down into the dipper like there's no fear at all. Whereas I'm praying at the top and thanking at the bottom, just so I'd actually made it through, to be honest. But Phil Glover is another man who's coming through here as well. Maybe we'll have a chat with Phil as he gets down the Conrad. We'll wait patiently to pull him in as he's come round Forest Elbow. Let's drop him into the booth. Ready there, Phil. Good evening. How are you, sir? Phil?
Yep, can you hear me?
I can. How you getting on?
Yeah, not too bad. 12th at the moment, aren't I? Just going down the long straight.
Yes, you are. Right behind David Rolleston, about 8 tenths, but you got Sergio Martinez behind you, about 7 tenths back.
Yeah, I was catching them all up, but they're just pulling away again.
All right, well, you settle down nicely, Phil, and we'll look forward to having a chat with you during the feature race, but thank you so much again for joining us.
Yeah, no problem, James. Take care.
Well, there you go. Phil's in good spirits in 12th place there. You're doing the thing, doing this thing.
Having a good run as well, 12th place at the moment, and knocking on the door of maybe that elusive top 10 that would really help as Joe Jocelyn's going to get, well, jostled there, I guess, on the outside line. That was pretty aggressive between the two. Just about given enough room there by Seth Brown, but literally by the inch given enough room. I think any less and he would have been off.
Yeah, definitely. I think that could have stemmed the end of Phil Jocelyn's race there. If he was onto that grass and trying to break for Murray's, was definitely not going to happen. As we know, we can't really break here as well, but Phil's got the run. Coming out of what looks like turn 1, Seth Brown's tucked up right behind him again. Here we go to battle for 14th and 15th. Oh, Seth. Oh, well, that's put the end of that battle. There we go.
Probably. That is a very cambered corner, turn 2, and if you end up on the outside line there, you've really had it. So, yeah, unfortunately, that's what happened to Seth Brown, and you see a 2-second gap opened up by that one mistake almost immediately there, unfortunately. And the battles have died down as well as a result of all the incidents over the last few laps. You know, only one lap to go after this one, so we'll have a restack a little bit later, but there's a few battles going on other than this one, which I would argue is really, really important, especially for David Rolleston, who will want to get into the top 10, and Jamie Bird, who will just want to hang on, because then they can benefit from the reverse grid. And around this circuit, you really, really have a chance of winning the race.
Yeah, you definitely do. I want to have a look at Jamie Bird's steering. It is cocked.
Oh, no.
That was after coming through earlier on with that incident, isn't it?
That's badly damaged, that is. And Woodward and Rolleston should be able to get through here as a result. Oh, Woodward was having a look up the inside of the chase now, but Jamie Bird is going to be clinging on by his fingernails if he does manage this. It'll be pretty heroic if he keeps the top 10 with that amount of damage. That really is pretty severe.
Yeah, it is. It's looking pretty battered car at the moment in that Jamie Bird Racing 86 car. It's got to be tough for him because he's sliding all over the place currently at the moment. And you can see the angle on the steering wheel. He's got to keep it a good, 10 to 15 degrees further right to keep it straight. I'm surprised Rolliston is jumping Woodward. Oh, okay, no, he's not. There it is. All right, I thought it was nearly there, but Woodward didn't give up that easily, and Rolliston didn't get free either. However, David Rolliston is going up again as these guys are coming into the cutting. Oh, Bird's got to be struggling. How is he managing to keep that car ahead of these two?
Oh, it's unbelievable, really, and the battle has not... You can just see how much it is affecting him, because Woodward and Rolliston just had a full-on battle there, and they didn't lose any time at all, pretty much, to Jamie Bird, who's just trying to get through right now, but he just cannot afford to lose these 2 places, because then he won't get the benefit of the reverse grid. Top 10 reversed, of course, and Woodward and Rolliston really need to stay as close as they possibly can. Down the dipper now towards Forest Elbow, get a good exit there, and just make his life difficult into the chase.
Yeah, well, this is Bousson's trying to make Paul Lemay's life difficult down into the chase as well. Final lap of the race. Simon Edwards is coming down. Luke Maxwell, sorry, is coming down into the last corner. Is Bousson going to be looking at sending it on the inside of Lemay? Oh, he's got the outside line, which means he's going to give it the inside for the exit. But it's going to be Luke Maxwell taking the victory there as well. Simon Edwards in second. John McCutcheon going to come across the line in third. Dan Webster fourth. And is it going to be Lemay? Is it going to be Bousson? Final corner. It's going to be Lemay. He got the place ahead of Bousson. Paul Clark coming across the line in seventh, ahead of James Child eighth. Jamie Bird has hung on miraculously in ninth place there, Ewan. How did he hang on to that one?
Oh, that is unbelievable, really. His lap times at the end must have been shocking. Yeah, 59.8, and he didn't even go off. It's more than 4 seconds slower than the pole time, and well over 2 seconds slower than what the leaders were doing throughout the race. That car was pretty heavily damaged, but he'll be starting the second race from second, and that is going to be the big relief for him. That's going to be why he soldiered on with that damage. To try and, as someone causes a commotion outside my house, I hope you didn't hear that. Big drive, and he'll be rewarded now with a second place start for the second race.
Big drive, big drama going on outside at Ewan O'Leary's there as well. If you did, we did hear the tooting of the horn, but we didn't both say nothing. Well, I was just going to style it and say somebody's got a horn in game. Ewan, you should just.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't quite. I wasn't quite thinking of that. Sorry.
Luke Maxwell is your winner by 3.6 seconds. Simon Edwards in second under all heaps of pressure from Paul Crabb, and I don't know. Maybe there might be stuff mentioned. Who knows? See what happens in the stewards' booth. John McCutcheon in third. Dan Webster fourth. Paul Lemay fifth. Mike Bousson sixth. Paul Clark seventh. James Child eighth. Jamie Bird hung on for ninth place with a very damaged car. Robert Woodward in 10th. David Rolliston 11th. Sergio Cruz 12th. Phil Glover 13th. Phil Jocelyn 14th. Seth Brown 15th. Darrell Taylor 16th. Damien G down in 17th place, with Paul Crabb behind and Graham Brown. So there we go. Well, if Jamie Bird can do it with a very damaged car, what's he going to be able to do during this feature race without it?
Well, yeah, it's going to be quite frightening, really. I think as a result of that, he is further down in the order. Sorry, he finished that race further down the order than maybe his pace suggests that he can. That, to me, suggests that he might be able to do really well from second place. And not only will he be starting on the front row, of course, but he'll be around drivers that I think he is just about faster than. Because I think he did belong really in the mid part of the top 10 rather than clinging on to the last part of it. So I think we could well see if not a win, then at least a very good performance from Jamie Bird coming up right now, because he's got the pace for it, and obviously with a brand new car, with an undamaged car, he should be able to go even faster now.
Yeah, there we go. We are into the grid for the feature race. Robert Woodward is in first place, Jamie Bird second, James Child third, Paul Clark fourth, Mike Bousson fifth, Paul Lemay sixth, Dan Webster seventh, John McCutcheon eighth, Simon Edwards ninth, Luke Maxwell commanding in race one in 10th, David Rossett in 11th, Sergio Cruz down in 12th place. Beyond that, Phil Glover 13th, Phil Jocelyn 14th, Seth Brown 15th, Darrell Taylor 16th, Damien G 17th, and the flying Irishman of Paul Crabb is down in 18th place, with Graham Brown in 19th there as well. So Jamie Bird is going to be at the front row of the grid. His, as you say, pace suggested he can go quicker. Just be interesting to see if he can get past Robert Woodward at the beginning.
It will. We'll see if he can. I think he might be able to do this off the start. I mean, if he goes around the outside of turn 1 and they, battle side by side down the hill there and on the straight, and he'll have the inside, which is very important at turn 2. So let's see what happens.
There we go now. The lights coming on. 4 lights, 5 lights. And we are green here. And Robert Woodward got an absolute flyer. Bird got his second, Child third. Got under attack from Paul Clark. Buson coming through as well. Trying to make that move on the inside of Paul Clark. There's Simon Edwards still in 9th. David Rollison down in 10th. And then we've got Luke Maxwell. Lost a position. Is down in 11th place. But at the moment, it's Robert Woodward and Jamie Bird battling away on the way to turn 1. Bird on the left. Woodward on the right in the pink. Further back, there's another bunch of two as well with Child and Paul Clark. And then behind that, there's LeMay and Hutchinson with Dan Webster in there as well. So definitely Jamie Bird now out in front, Ewan. He's done what we wanted him to do, get out the front, and we were expecting his pace to pick him up a little bit further.
Yeah, now it really depends how quickly the front runners can get through the field. Talking to guys like John McHutchinson, Dan Webster, Simon Edwards and Luke Maxwell, all of which who are just outside the top 5 right now. But that's exactly what Jamie Bird had to do. Get around the outside at turn 1 or get a run at least to make sure you have the inside at turn 2, because that's exactly where you want to be. And that is where Jamie Bird was, and he's going to be able to really benefit from that now, and especially because John McHutchinson really hasn't been able to get that far through the order in this opening lap. He's only got 1 position so far after finishing 3rd in the last race. He would have started 8th. He's now into 7th. There's the 1 position. Simon Edwards hasn't gone anywhere. Luke Maxwell. Oh no! We've been singing his praises, but Jamie Bird's in the wall.
Oh no! Jamie Bird! Down into Forest. Locks. Oh!
Wow. Yeah, I thought that was going to be absolutely, odds on for Jamie Bird to win that one, but absolutely not. He's found a way to lose it almost in that moment there. He was coming under pressure from Woodward, and that's fair enough, but even so, a mistake from Jamie Bird has really put him, out of this race now, along with Graham Brown, I think, maybe out of this race.
Yeah, I don't think he started
as well. Yeah, fair enough. As we got off the road, that's Simon Edwards. Simon Edwards and LeMay. Is Edwards in the wall, though, at turn 1. Championship leader in the wall.
Paul LeMay, Simon Edwards, let's have a look. Coming down into turn 1. There is LeMay in the red and blue. Oh, that's kind of what happened to him and Paul Crabb. Just roles reversed, isn't it?
And then a little bit clumsily, Edwards finding himself in the wall there. But yeah, that was almost roles reversed there. Quite ironic almost there for Simon Edwards, and finding himself in the wall for the 2nd feature race in a row. Of course, he's starting to get a small run of these. Now back in 16th place. He can't take drop weeks on all of these rounds. Surely he scored a nice 22 points in the opening one there, and if he does get up the order a little bit further, then he will still have this round count. But Mike Buson's in the wall now.
Buson is in the wall at the top of St Park.
That's a very narrow line.
That's not going to do him any favours.
No, and in the wall, big damage. It just seemed to go straight on though when he got in the grass and the gravel. When you know what that was about. But John McHutchinson's not complaining. Look at him here, 3rd place and chasing down the 2 leaders now. Huge opportunity in this championship for John McHutchinson.
Absolutely. Paul Crabb is up 7. Webster is gone. He seems to have so much grip around the chase, doesn't he? He's just taken.
Oh, whoa. Wow.
Phil Glover.
Phil Glover, yeah. Off the road slightly, but yeah, I can't believe Dan Webster got that stop there. I don't know what it is about him in the chase, but just seems to be very, very strong there. And well, John McHutchinson not going to let him get away with it.
Battling away into turn 1. Easily done if he could have just opened up that steering, McHutchinson. But looks like Webster's got to get behind that, and Maxwell as well. They're coming in 2 banks of 2. Here, down into turn 2. Oh, Let's go. Slight contact. McHutchison gets pushed out. That's Dan Webster through. Is James Child going to have a go as well? Maxwell's on the right hand. Hutchinson's on the right hand side now in front in the Pink Panther car, but Luke Maxwell's through, so is Dan Webster. Simon Edwards could be in here for a bit of a shock in this championship because he's currently down here. Oh, Damien G just literally torpedoing the wall up at the cut-in here on lap 3. Unfortunately for G, it looks like he's could be done and dusted, but it is Dan Webster from Maxwell, from McHutchison, from Child, from Martinez, and in front of them we've got Paul Clark 2.4 seconds up the road, and then we've got Robert Woodward a further 2 seconds as well. But a recovering Irishman, a Paul Crabb, ups 8 back through the field, doing an absolutely stellar job, and it looks like Phil Jocelyn has torpedoed the wall as well.
Yeah, oh God, that's even heavier into the wall for Phil Jocelyn. So I'm afraid a lot of issues on this lap for a number of drivers, 5 already having visited the pit lane in this race, but we're about to get a very interesting one now between Webster, Maxwell and McHutchison in particular. How far up the order can they get? Will Woodward take a victory possibly at the moment? Let's see as they go side by side through the chase again. Dan Webster really strong on the brakes down here, but not from the inside line. Luke Maxwell round the outside. That was inch perfect from him. We're seeing such great racing from these guys at the chase. It's absolutely wonderful to watch. And McHutchison doesn't want to be left out. He's not going to go for it into the final corner, but Luke Maxwell with a fantastic overtake there, showing that can not only take positions by getting pole and just racing away with it, but also he can battle in the pack with the rest of them as well.
Yeah, Sergio Martinez, James Child is having a battle here as well, but it is all about this Maxwell, Webster, McHutchison battle all the while they are battling. The front two of Paul Clark and Robert Woodward are away here in this feature race by about 2.8. They've only got 7 laps to hang on for. Is it possible we see a Woodward win?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it is possible. Firstly, the 3 who we're speaking about there as being the front runners battling over 3rd place. Here they are. Well, firstly they're battling it with each other, and then also they've got to get through on Paul Clark as well, which won't be easy, and that might cost them a little bit of time as well. It's not a long race, of course, only 11 laps around here. It's not very long, so I think Woodward's got a pretty good chance of winning this race, possibly the best chance he'll have all season.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see the speed differences there. McHutchison 182, Cruz 188, Rolliston 182, and 170s for the guy is in the front as well. Don't forget that this taking into consideration the draft here this evening, and I think it's going to be an interesting one now. What Maxwell's going to do is come down to 1.5 over Clark, so Paul Clark is getting reeled in. If he's not careful with the 3 behind him, he could be in deep trouble here for the man from iLounge Racing here this evening. But it is Maxwell, Webster, McHutchison. He needs these guys back at each other's throats again to get that gap back out again.
Does need that a little bit, but I think they have organised themselves a little bit better now, and arguably you could say they've organised themselves into pace order as well. To be fair, I think Webster and McHutchison are very close on pace actually, but Maxwell being at the front of this group I think is helpful for everybody. He's the fastest around the whole circuit, very good over the mountain as well, and he'll be able to drag them along, but that kind of order has been disrupted as McHutchison goes through on Webster after making a mistake at that final corner. It's all kicking off here as well. Yeah,
there was action further back with Martinez, got a big smoke lock-up coming out of the final turn. But at the moment, it is John McHutchison, Luke Maxwell, Dan Webster battling away. Paul Clark's getting relief now. He's got to be honest, he's out at about 1.9. So it has come out half a second from when these guys have started fighting again. So let's see how this can work and hopefully see what happens. How much win would the Woodward win if the Wood could win? Says Biggles in YouTube chat.
But how do you answer a question like that as well? I don't know. But I mean, he has a great chance. We've been saying it all race, but they're not really making any inroads into him. Paul Clark's getting caught here, but also Clark's losing time to Robert Woodward right now. So it's the best chance he might have all season long, and he's got to absolutely grasp this with both hands.
Absolutely. You know, don't take your hands off it, mate. Get on it, whack 2 on it, and take it to the checkers, because you've got 6 laps remaining here as well this evening. And unfortunately, Paul Clark has been pulled in by about nearly 1.2 seconds over that lap alone. So I don't know if Paul Clark did make that error there in that SR10, and then that has allowed Luke Maxwell to open up the gap to John McHutchison, who's being chased down by Dan Webster. Beforehand, Paul Crabb has made it a move back through as well. He's going for it on David Roniston. Crabb is through as they come down into the chase, so that's great there as well. Sergio Martinez, James Child, are they going to make it? No. Neither is Simon Edwards. That's the weirdest thing. He hasn't cleared these two yet, and I thought that would have been done a good few laps ago.
Well, he's only just caught up to them, to be fair. He had to battle through a few others first, but most of them end up in the pit lane now. He's up the inside, the final corner, bit of an awkward one. And De La Cruz squeezed him there, so he couldn't quite get on the power as early as he wanted to, and now he's going to have a hard job getting it down the inside at turn 1. He's going to have to wait here, which is not ideal, as Paul Clark is going to defend this position. That's not helpful for Luke Maxwell, but it's very helpful for Robert Woodward, who will be, well, cheering Paul Clark on at this rate.
We're all cheering Paul Clark on, really, in conjunction, considering how much of a drive he's doing, but he's lost a place to Maxwell in turn 3. Or it looked like he was done before that, to be honest, which was quite bizarre.
Yeah, it was into the cutting. Just when you're going side by side into there, or when you're alongside on the inside, you traditionally expect the driver on the outside to back out of it, and especially with this amount of distance to go, with the situation Paul Clark's in, I'm not entirely surprised to see that. Now it remains to be seen what happens here with McHutchinson and Webster. I think Luke Maxwell will be able to get himself away from these two, and they might end up battling over the podium between themselves.
Yeah, I think this is John McHutchinson now, and this isn't any disrespect. Oh, to Paul Clark, he's driving an absolute stellar race. But I can guarantee Maxwell's going to want to get this done sooner rather than later. And unfortunately for Maxwell, he has got Dan Webster literally tucked up right behind him. He's going to pull him in all the way down this straight. I don't think it's possible. They're not going to get Clark at the end of this. And if they don't get him by the end of turn 1, they're going for another lap. And that's the thing, until they hit the Conrad straight, is Webster going to try and pull? Oh, he is quick on the brakes there, Ewan. He looked like he was very late as well.
Yeah, he always is very late on the brakes, but when you're on your own, you can kind of throw it into that corner there and sort of feed your way through. But when there's someone in front of you and you're fast on the way in, it's not particularly ideal. They're trying to be fast on the way out. If you're fast on the way in, or trying to be, then it's not going to work. You're going to go straight into the back of the car in front. So Webster just had to slam on the brakes a little bit more than he usually would there. And Clark should be able to defend from this point, but just depends how much straight line speed he's got, really. Know that John McHutchinson's very quick in a straight line. He's got not very much a wing on that car at all. He will be able to challenge Webster. Will he into turn 2? Not quite. Webster and Clark seem pretty similar on straight line speed by the looks of it.
Yeah. You've got to give Clark credit. He's driving an absolute stellar job in third place. But these guys behind him, you know, Mr. Clark here, thou shalt not pass. He will defend the line. He's not going to give it up to you easily. But you've got to get past him, Mr. Webster, and that's going to be a lot trickier than you think through this mountain section before these guys go off again into the dipper. And how much difficult is this going to be? Webster's car does look seated. Yeah, it looks seated, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's very difficult to do anything when the walls are so close. It's so narrow, the racing line's so narrow on this section. You've just got to wait, and this is the exit that Webster was really looking for. Although Clark's having it well, he missed the apex, but he's still got a pretty good exit. And now Webster's going to be relying on his straight line speed that hasn't been all too much to shout about so far, but he might just be close enough now into the chase. Clark's going to put it in the middle of the road, really, which is the best way to do it, into here. But Webster going to go to the outside line anyway, which gives him the inside at the braking zone, and we know how good he is on the brakes, although that was, oh, well, nearly too much. He just about pulls it up in time, and he is into third.
Yeah, McHutchison's trying to go around the outside of Paul Clark into Murray's. He's got it. Oh, no, he hasn't. Clark's now going to come back at him, going down into turn 1. Paul Clark on the right-hand side. John McHutchison in the Pink Panther livery there. Unfortunately, he's now going to be behind Paul Clark again. He's going to have this run up from turn 1 all the way down into turn 2. Is he going to be able to do it? He's got to ride the outside line, Ewan, and that's not easy going into turn 2.
No, not very easy at all, but his straight line speed might just be enough here. He's going to have a long way alongside, but he knows that he's not going to be able to do that. He had to turn in early. He turned in even a bit too early there, and he's going to spend another lap behind Paul Clark. He may well see his limit at 4th place here in this race, which is a bit of a missed opportunity, really.
Yeah, definitely it is for John McHutchison, but he is going to be stuck behind the I-Lounge Racing of Paul Clark. All the way through this top part of the mountain section, all the way down into the dipper. There's just going to be no movement here. What he hopes for, I suppose, Ewan, is getting that exit out of Forest to be able to get him at the end of Conrad Straight.
Yeah, he is going to try that, but it's really difficult when you've got the amount of wing on that John McHutchison has, as in not much. Do need a bit of a miracle sometimes, but we'll see what he can do this time. Very, very close to the rear end of Paul Clark, through the elbow this time, and surely he will be able to get this position now.
Yeah, here we go. I think it's going to be not long. There is a looming SR10 for Paul Clark. He sends him to the right-hand side of the circuit. They are coming racing down now. They're going to jink to the right very shortly. There's Paul Clark. There's John McHutchison. Job done for McHutchison. And he takes his line there as well. Darrell Taylor, 2 words in chat, I'm dead.
Oh no! Sorry, John McHutchison. He couldn't quite pull it up in time. He tried to, and he's lost all the positions, all of that work going down the path at the moment. He's going to be 8th place by the looks of it if he hasn't got damage.
How bad of an opportunity was that miss for McHutchison?
Yeah, absolutely a terrible missed opportunity now for John McHutchison. We'll see what damage he's got onto that car as well, because he could be in trouble here with regards to suspension damage. He went rear in first, which is the worst kind of suspension damage to deal with as well. Front suspension damage, you can sort of deal with it, as we saw with Jamie Bird during the last race, but rear is especially difficult, as just to add salt into the wound. Simon Edwards moves up another place, and as things stand, he would be gaining another 4 points on McHutchison on a day where he was supposed to be gaining points. That would increase the overall totals between the two to 25 points in favour of Simon Edwards, and it would certainly allow Dan Webster to get back into the picture as well.
Luke Maxwell has just pulled out round about 3.5 to 4 seconds over Robert Woodward, and he's done it over the last 4 laps. He's pulled a chunk. He got 1.5 over lap 7, 1.3 over lap 8, and now it's all about what Woodward's going to be able to do here, and it's not going to be a lot, Ewan, is it? We're expecting, that's it, Maxwell to take the lead here on lap 9 of 11. Okay, Woodward was doing a stellar job, but you can't lose 1.5, 1.3 seconds a lap to the likes of Luke Maxwell behind you.
I think you less looking at Woodward really, and more taking your hat off to Luke Maxwell here, because it's been a fantastic drive from him. He's all kicking off, by the way, behind. I don't know what's going on, but Edwards has found himself in 4th for some reasons, bizarre as they are. Yeah, Paul Crabb and Paul Clark must have come together, because everyone's gained 2 places. Oh no! Oh my word! That's one of the worst crashes we've seen all season. Oh,
hold on a minute.
Goodness. So high speed as well. Real high speed crash.
Yeah, I need to go back a little bit more. So Clark's out.
I think Clark comes into... Oh, Crabb comes into Clark, and I can't understand quite why.
Well, that would explain why the cars are where they are.
Oh, yeah, down on pit lane.
Mm.
And out of the race. That was a huge crash. Huge crash.
Wow.
And everyone gains 2 places. John McHutchison's just lost another 1. And so, yeah, that gap now between Edwards and McHutchison in the standings increases to 27 points as we run right now.
Yeah, there are, well, you can see Crabb, Clark, LeMay, Taylor, Buson, Jocelyn, G, Bird and Brown are all in the pits or out of the race.
Yeah. If you ever wanted to know how difficult Bathurst is, then just take a look at that. Nearly half the field out. as we're getting towards the end of this admittedly very short race. It's a 20-minute race, and half the field are out of it. So it's it's a real demonstration of just how difficult the circuit is.
It was very bizarre on the straight. I can't work out whether or not Clark had moved to the left and not given Crab room, or I don't know how that one would work.
No, it's a puzzling one. I think it did look more like Crab came off the white line there into Clark, but I can't figure out quite reasons why anyone would do that and why either of those drivers would do that in that situation. It's really, really bizarre. I mean, there's no reason to move to the right there for Paul Crab, but he does anyway, and I can't understand why.
But is it due to... So he's gone left, right? He's come right to try and correct it, and I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it, I think? That's going to be one that will rumble on for a while. So, but Luke Maxwell is out in front now. He's going up through the mountain section. Robert Woodward there as well is behind him. There's a back marker there. I think that was Crab. So Robert Woodward about 1 second back at the moment. Phil Glover's had a bit of a stellar one. He's up 5 at the moment due to all the carnage that has taken place. He's now sitting in 8th place. Ooh, Robert Woodward brushing the wall. It's a shame, isn't it, for him, Ewan, though, to be fair, because you definitely did think he was going to be there or thereabouts.
Yeah, both of those drivers were going to be up there. And there's been a real shame for a lot of these drivers, to be honest, in the race so far. There's Clark getting out the way after a repair. Back out there again in 12th, but a real shame for a lot of these drivers in this race, really, because it's been such a good one for many, but unfortunately some crashes in there as well. As we've got time for one more, as De La Cruz goes straight on into Forest Elbow.
Wow. But it is Luke Maxwell coming round the final corner here at Murray's, does take the victory over Robert Woodward, who's done an absolute stellar job in 2nd place. Comes across the line there, Dan Webster 3rd, Simon Edwards with a, I can only explain that as a gifted 4th, would we not say?
I guess we can call it a gifted 4th because, well, you've got to be there, to be fair to him. You've got to be there, and despite the mistake he made in towards turn 1, went off the road.
James Child.
Just James Child goes around and will lose places here, you'd imagine. It might reverse over the line here. He's going to spin himself around. But yeah, Edwards had to be there. He had to pick up the pieces, and he did.
Yeah. Nice effort. He tried. So, there we go. John McCutcheon finishing as well. Down in 9th place. Seth Brown. Final one coming down the Conrad straight. Well, that was just... Well, I don't really know where to start on that feature race, to be honest. There was people of Taylor, Bird, LeMay, Edwards, G, Jocelyn, McCutcheon, Clark, Crab, De La Cruz. Obviously, Bousson somewhere. I missed the Mike Bousson one. Can't quite kind of see where he was involved in. This could be where Bousson was involved in that. So he's coming across. Oh, that was earlier on, wasn't it? He went over the.
Oh yeah. We're forgetting interns. We've seen so many. We've just forgotten, who's been in the wall, where, and what happened, and all of that. It's been such a chaotic race, by far the most chaotic of this season, you would say, and involving some of the biggest crashes as well, which is, of course, not what we want to see. But we got some good racing in there as well, and fair play to Robert Woodward as well, by the way, for getting a great result there, as you can see.
Yeah, there are the results on the screen. Luke Maxwell in 1st, Robert Woodward in 2nd, Dan Webster 3rd, Simon Edwards, well, I suppose we could say a great recovery, I guess, in 4th, but was aided by incidents in front of him as well. David Rolliston 5th, Sergio Cruz 6th, James Child 7th, Phil Glover up into 8th there, John McCutcheon 9th, Seth Brown 10th, Paul Crab in 11th, 1 lap down, Paul Clark in 12th, a lap down, and then we've got the non-finishers really. Paul LeMay 13th, was 8 laps down, Darrell Taylor 8 laps down, Phil Jocelyn 9, David G 9, Mike Bousson 9, Jamie Bird down 11, and then Graham Brown, which I don't actually believe started the race. So there we go. That was some interesting racing in a feature that kind of gave us everything, really.
Yeah, it certainly did. There was a lot of drama within it. But bizarrely, the same race winner. I can't remember how many times it's happened so far in the sprint and feature formats, but to win both races in one is very impressive and really puts Luke Maxwell back on the map for this championship. You never know. Might still be able to just get there by the end of the season, because he will have gained big points on Edwards and McCutchinson today, and Dan Webster as well, who had a good run himself. But what a fantastic couple of races we've seen. Bathurst providing the drama once again. A little bit different, to be fair, to the one we had last season, where we were experimenting with a longer race, actually, I remember last season, this time, at this circuit. But a different format this time, but same great racing. This is why it's one of the best circuits in the world. Just fantastic racing you get around here. Great drama as well.
Is that aided by the fact, though, the walls are so close, and we have seen quite a lot of incidents. But we do have Dan Webster waiting in the booth with us this evening. Good evening, Dan. How are you, sir?
I'm sweaty. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. I've just watched a great race. One of the things I am interested, Dan, is the fact that your effort down into the chase, your 2-move overtake in the sprint race down into the chase, you seem to have the chase nailed in that car currently.
Which bit's the chase?
The chicane at the end of the long straight, mate.
Yes. Yeah, that went quite well actually. I'm quite good on the brakes in this car, so I tend to get a lot of overtakes done on the brakes. Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it definitely was a good one. A third overall in the feature. You know, Bathurst is a tough circuit, and we saw that in the last race. We had no fewer than about 6 non-finishers. Few were a lap down. Was there a plan from yourself going into this weekend? Into this race, sorry.
To be honest, when I saw the pace of the guys at the front and my qualifying position, I thought I'd be happy to finish at the bottom half of the top 10 if I can, to get me a good result, to get me a good start position for the second race. So I finished higher than I expected, which put me in quite a dangerous position for the second race. So just did the best I could. It probably turned out better than I expected.
No, to be fair, you know, it definitely did. Third overall in the feature was absolutely amazing, of course. Onwards and up to it's a different type of circuit altogether next week at the Red Bull Ring. Love it or hate it, Dan? What do we reckon? What's the opinion?
Yeah, it's a good track. I like it. It's good.
So we're going to see more from you next week?
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully I'll be a bit quicker next week.
Awesome stuff, Dan. Well, it's a pleasure, as always, having you in the booth. Anyone you want to give a shout-out to before you leave the booth this evening?
Definitely all the other guys this week. I know there were a few incidents towards the end of the feature race behind me. I had some angry people, but all of the guys that I was racing around were superb. We were really close, really fair. It was brilliant, really, really good, really well driven by everyone.
Awesome stuff, Dan. Well, thank you so much for joining me in the booth, and look forward to seeing you next week at the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, hope so.
Take care, buddy.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye. Next up, coming in to the booth, we are going to have a chat with Mr. Robert Woodward. Absolute flying start in the feature race there. Was so unlucky not to hang on to the victory, but then when you lose 2.5 seconds in 2 laps, you've got a tough ask when you've got the speed demon that is Luke Maxwell behind you, but he's here in the booth now. Robert, good evening. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm good.
Good feature race. You know, you got your top 10 that you needed to get in your sprint to get the pole. You were doing so well. Was there a moment that you thought, I can do this?
Well, for the first 5 laps, I was mostly thinking, what strange universe am I in? This makes no sense. Why am I in the first?
But you almost did it. You almost had it, didn't you? That victory was, what was it, 3 laps? I think it was 4 laps away from being in your grasp, you know. But you lost time on lap 7 and 8. Was there an issue you had that we didn't see? Because you lost about 2.5 seconds.
Probably me overdriving and just eventually the tyres don't want to take it anymore, and I just can't maintain those 57 zeros anymore.
Okay, so was there a moment that you sat in the car thinking, okay, like, A, what universe am I in? B, how am I going to get this to the end? And C, I've got this tricky dipper section coming up to every single lap for 11 laps. You know, it's a tough circuit, Parfitt, isn't it?
Yeah, well, since I've been racing with Vertical Nest since 2019, I think, and Bathurst was, something clicked at some point. So got to enjoy it.
Yeah, you have. You've got to enjoy it as well. And then onwards and upwards to the Red Bull Ring, completely different circuit altogether. Robert, you know, what's the plans for the Red Bull Ring for you?
I don't get a lot of practice. So first plan is to try and practice this time.
Well, awesome stuff, Robert. Thank you so much for joining me in the booth. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go this evening?
I guess Martina, because she was the one who finally convinced me to join the league, and the racing has been absolutely brilliant.
It definitely has. But Robert, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. Well done on your second place in the feature race. And look forward to seeing you at the Red Bull Ring next week.
Yeah, thank you. See you there.
Bye-bye. Right, well, it's only fair now to bring in Mr. Luke Maxwell into the booth to have a chat with him. 2 victories this evening here in the sprint and feature race. Mr. Maxwell, welcome into the booth. How are you, sir?
I'm very, very, very well. Thank you, James. Yes, delighted. Absolutely delighted with that.
Well, you know, so your double victory.
Yeah. That was that was tough to get up the grid on the on the second race, but luckily, I mean, Simon and Dave and someone else, I think, all had an incident right in front of me again, similar to last week, to be honest. But just managed to sneak up the inside, and I thought, right, I'm going for it. I'm going to. Not the red mist, but I was definitely zoned in to trying to get as quick as I could to try and close the gaps and not hang around behind people, because I think it's a kind of track, if you get stuck there, it's hard to get past. There's only a few overtaking opportunities, isn't there? So good. I'm pleased with that. Delighted.
Well, you got the run down into the chase and then the run down into turn 2. You haven't got really many other options after that, have you?
No,
if you don't clear them at that point, you're stuck for 3/4 of the lap round at the mountain section. You know, the fact that you managed to pull out, I think it was like 4.2 or 4.3 seconds Woodward's gap was, and you took 2.5 out of him in 2 laps as well, on laps 7 and 8, I believe. When did you start believing that you could win this feature? Because it wasn't looking rosy right at the beginning.
I messed up the first turn, didn't I? And cost me 2 places. So, but I could see that, Dan and Simon and John were all kind of stuck in line as well. So I thought, well, let's see if I can get back on their tail, and hopefully I can do it. And I think when Simon went off, the gap started to open up a bit. I thought, well, I wasn't really necessarily thinking P1, but I was thinking, I can close the gap on those in front of me, and really trying to push. And then I saw Robert, like, was it 4 seconds ahead? I thought, oh crikey, yeah, here we go. But to be honest, once I'd done a couple of laps behind him in the mountain section, I knew I was making up time, and thought, yeah, and turn 1 as well. I seem to be nailing turn 1 quite well, and getting some time there. So it was just a case of keeping the hammer down. I knew from practice my lap times were pretty good. With both race setups. I knew my tyres were going to hold, so I thought, well, let's just keep going. Yeah.
Yeah, Robert did say he was towards the end. His tyres were going off. He was overdriving the car. Yeah, he did wonder at one point what universe he was actually in, being in first place as well. Bless him. I think the mixture of nerves, panicking, driving, looking at his relative coming down, it was just all a little bit too much.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think once I got a really good exit behind him coming down there, and thought, yeah, that's got to be. And he didn't defend too hard, to be fair, so didn't come back at me. So I was like, yeah, okay. But then I think, was it Paul had an incident on the last lap, and
Paul Crab.
That yellow flag is horrible, because you can't see up round the corner. And how many times I've had a yellow flag there before in a GT3 race, and you come around the corner, the car's sideways, and So I was really trying to go slowly up the hill there until I saw where Paul was, and managed to get past him, clean enough. So yeah, it was good. It was good. Really, I love the track. I love Bathurst, and it's a good race. It's a good track to really push on, and push your limits. So yeah, happy.
Definitely does that. Luke, thank you so much for joining us. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth this evening?
I'm going to give a shout out to Simon. He's had two unlucky weeks really with incidents. So I'm sure he'll be back strong. Where are we next week? Is it
Red Bull?
Red Bull. Okay, all right. Yeah, that's all right. I think I'm happy with that. Yeah, let's go again.
Awesome stuff, Luke. Well, you take care, buddy, and look forward to maybe having a chat with you at the Red Bull Ring.
Cheers, guys. See you then.
Mate.
Take care.
Right, we've got Simon Edwards in the waiting room for us. Simon, good evening, sir. Are you there? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Okay, tell us about your racing this evening. Second week in a row in the feature race. There's been an incident, but you battled your way back through. I somewhat think it was a gratuitous fourth place because there was incidents in front of you, Simon. But what was your opinion on the incident with LeMay that we've just seen on screen currently at the moment?
I've just talked to Paul through the forum. I was being cheeky, staying on the outside there, and he just drifts just the tiniest bit over, and we just touch, and it's just unfortunate that he's spun so quickly, really. So it was me being cheeky, trying to put him offline, and that was it really. And then I was last.
Yeah. Was that, though, a carbon copy of what happened with Paul Crabb in final corner in the sprint race? Roles reversed, obviously.
Well, I don't know, to be honest with you, because I didn't look at it. I'll have to have a look at it. I felt a double touch to the rear of my car, and then when I got round the corner, it didn't affect me too much stability. I just had to slightly adjust. When I'd gone round the corner, I could see Paul going off. So I don't actually know what happened in the sprint race, but in the sprint race, I'd chosen very badly on tyre pressures, and I had no front grip at all. So I was just having to defend like mad.
Yeah, we did say up here in the booth that you did look like you were struggling. Onwards and upwards, though, move on. We got the Red Bull Ring next week. What do we think from yourself at the Red Bull Ring, Simon?
I like the Red Bull Ring, actually, because it's one of those crazy tracks. So, flat out into right-angled, crazy corners. So it could be fun.
No, it could well be that as well. But Simon, thank you so much for joining us. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth this evening?
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to Paul LeMay. We've tangled twice in 2 races now. But there's nothing malicious either way. So, and I'll have a look at that first one as well for Paul. So I might have to shout out for the other Paul next week.
Yeah, if you look at the thing is, if you could just imagine yourself where LeMay was at the time, it does look near enough the same, but just in 2 separate corners. But thank you, Simon, for joining us as well. Been a pleasure as always, and look forward to having a chat with you maybe in the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, see you there.
Take care. All right. Oh, hold on. Why is it not allowing me to remove Simon? There we go. And I just want to bring in our resident booth member who joins us during the race. Unfortunately, didn't get time to join him during the feature race, but Mr. Phil Glover, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Yes, yeah, not too bad really. That wasn't too shabby for me, considering I ended up pretty much near the back, didn't I? I went straight on at the end of the long straight.
Yeah, we did see that. What happened there, Phil?
I quite often seem to do that on this track. I don't know why. I guess it's a long straight, isn't it? And you kind of when you put your book down and look where you're going, you suddenly realise you haven't got time to brake. That was the case, I think, this time. So and then you kind of just got to wait for everybody to go, haven't you? And you can't accelerate much on the grass, otherwise you're just going to go round and round. So hey ho.
Hey ho, onwards and upwards. We're going to the Red Bull Ring next week, Phil. How do we feel about the Red Bull Ring?
Do you know, it's not one of my not a great track. That's the one. Is that the one that leads on to the Nordschleife?
No, the Red Bull Ring.
Yeah, no, I'm not even sure I've got that track. I'll have to have a look at, to be honest.
Oh.
So clearly not a favourite of mine.
Clearly not, Phil, but onwards and upwards there, buddy. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before you leave the booth this evening?
Just you guys and the rest of the crowd in the league. A great bunch of people. So, yeah.
Awesome stuff.
See you next week if I'm there.
Yeah, you certainly will do, Phil. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, cheers, James.
Okay, so Ewan, in general, they all seem quite positive. I don't know if Simon quite saw what I was referring to with the carbon copy of the incident in the sprint race with him and Paul Crabb. Maybe, as I say, he's going to go back and have a look at it and see what he could do about, compare it and see how it goes. But overall, they still seem quite positive with the racing that's been happening.
Yeah, and that is often the story we get from these drivers really after the interviews, because they're just all very positive about being here really, and just enjoying their time, which is a great thing really. I mean, it's such a natural thing to do what Simon Edwards did into the final corner during the sprint race that he might not have even noticed that there was really a problem. He might have thought that Crabb outbroke himself like sort of on his own and got things wrong on his own, and it wouldn't have really registered with Edwards, but he might well need to go back and have a look. To be honest, I can't see much coming of that. It's a very small thing, really, and it's not like he just took someone out completely, just rear-ended someone or whatever. It's a very minor thing, so I can't see much coming of it, really. Likewise with the Paul LeMay one that Simon Edwards was on the receiving end of, that was a very small thing as well. That it just happens from time to time. So I can't see much being done about either of those, and I think I'd be surprised if there was, but very minor incidents for the most part. There were quite a few crashes in the second race, but it's to be expected at this circuit.
Yeah, absolutely as well. Just heard about Jamie Bird. I love the way he's phrased it in the Discord there as well. Luckily, my PC had diagnosed my bad driving and blacked my screens out on lap 1 of the feature. So I could take myself out. So that's what happened to Jamie Bird, why all of a sudden he stopped at the base of Forest Elbow there as well, Ewan. So that's a tough luck on Jamie Bird, I think, going into that race because he was looking so strong.
Yeah, he was looking really strong, and I thought he was going to go on and win that. Although, with the pace of Robert Woodward there, I'm not so sure it would have been quite so simple. And then with the pace of Luke Maxwell as well, he may well have caught them both and passed them both anyway. So it's hard to say. Races are full of what ifs, and that's just one of them. But I think Bird's going to be very disappointed with the way that ended out. But not a lot you can do about a technical failure like that, unfortunately.
No, definitely not as well, guys. But there we go. Onwards and upwards we go to the Red Bull Ring. But if you haven't had enough of Bathurst at Mount Panorama in Australia, we've got the American AMs and Pros from Bathurst going off at around about 1:45 a.m. in the morning. That would be with Rob Sluter and Dean Biggles in the booth there on the JPB YouTube channel. And then tomorrow night we've got the European AM and Pros from the Radical Sim Racing again, obviously at Bathurst. SRL GT4 live from Catalonia, season finale there, going off at 10:15. And then we've got the IGL Cash Cup GT3 race from Circuit Zolder. And don't forget as well, guys, on Saturday we do have Big Dreams Little Voices in aid of raising money for the Rainbow Trust. Links are down below. There are not many places left whatsoever of the 45 card grid. There is very, very few. So if you are in the Discord and you haven't signed up yet, please do so, because there is not many places left at all. Also as well, don't forget the giveaway on Instagram there. If like, follow and share the post. But JBB have put up on the Instagram, be in with a chance of winning £50 worth of iRacing dollars. But that is it from us up here in the booth this evening. So as always, guys, all that's left for me to say is for myself and Ewan O'Leary, take care, have a great week, and you never know, might see you on a track sometime. Good night.